Yeah.
All of a sudden, anybody who either wants to be able to volunteer in the schools or needs to work inside the school system is like saying, "Put me in, coach." Like, oh dear. And a lot of parents now, or like I'm starting to see that like a lot of parents I think are starting. Some of them are going to start opting to have their kids do homeschooling. And I don't know that because I'm not the part of the department that handles that kind of thing. So I'm having to transfer into HR because that's the best I can do. And I
Mm.
feel bad for the sentence people because they're gonna probably not be able to officially get it going. And we're back for another episode of the Anime4All podcast. We are now reviewing episode 107 of My Hero Academia. The title of the episode is called More of a Hero Than Anyone." And I guess before we get on with this, we're gonna do what we normally do. If there's anything changed within the stats on this podcast. So far, I think we
What
only
are
had
the
one
stats,
bad
Jeremy?
week. What?
What are the stats, Jeremy?
I don't know. I gotta get in there first. 89 in the last 30 days. We're up 81% than previous. Again, we're off to a really slow August, but that should change because it looks like in the middle of July we had a huge burst, but that probably what's happening during that. I forgot what was even happening during that. Maybe it was the tournament arc. I don't even know. It was one of those things. But yeah.
The fall of Rome, maybe.
What?
The fall of Rome.
Could that have been it? I mean, I included the frappe, and of course you say that. Uh, we're still doing pretty good, and there's bigger splotches in South America than there were before. There's like actually a big old splotch in like the east part of the United States now.
Really?
It's spread out though, but I don't think we were in Chicago last time, but certainly some people downloaded us in Chicago. So hello, people in Chicago. Got some people in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, I was born in Kansas.
Hello, Jock's biological mom and father.
My mom lives in Rhode Island. My father lives in Indiana. But I'll tell them that you said hi.
Wow, I think that's the closest like download I've ever seen to Los Angeles. Oh, it's in Ontario. What? Ontario, California? I learned something new. Okay, well I think that's about new. What's going on in South America real quick before we move on? Geez, like the eastern part of like these. I mean, I know South America must have English-speaking folk down there, but I didn't expect there to be that many. Wow, we are really blowing up in Rio de Janeiro, though.
Ayo, Rio.
And that looks about it. We're still doing the same in the European country, which is to be expected. I guess we got that one viewer in Bangladesh that I swear, you find out that that was one of your friends, gonna be so like, how did they find out you were doing this? One day we will somehow appear in Australia. I'm not sure when. One day, I believe. Uh, yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're like, I mean, we're not upward growth isn't all that great, but we're still doing good.
Yeah.
Yep, no real complaints. So I guess
I'm
with that,
excited about it.
Hmm?
I'm excited about it. I'm glad that people are listening to us.
I'm a little weird out there listening to this, 'cause I didn't think anybody would even want to listen to me. I'm happy regardless, but you know, it's one of those things you never expect until it happens.
Hmm.
Okay, but with that, we're gonna talk about the episode that came out last week. More of a hero than anyone, and the crux of this episode is really gonna just be about Shirakumu, which, by the way, I checked this out because I wanted to make sure, but his name was definitely dropped much earlier on, and it was during it was actually during that episode that we reviewed that I complained about why were they gonna drop something from Azawa's past, or they're not gonna talk about it. Well, they did here in a little bit. Actually,
Awesome.
I also found out that they actually talk about this guy and have show you the events that happened in My Hero Vigilante. And I'm gonna read the chapter at some point. I should have read it for today, but I didn't because things happened and we weren't, you know, exactly. Things just didn't go as planned because you know things happen, life happened. But I guess with that, all my notes that I have here, past all the recap stuff, we return to UA. Ida is pretty much suggesting that everybody show off what they learned during their very fast work training programs that they were a part of during winter. That happened during the winter break.
I will
Azawa,
say that they did pull back. Remember, my big criticism was that he learned it too fast. The Black Whip.
yeah, I mean, I wrote that down here that they commented on how fast he learned it, and also that it's a.
I did comment about it. I'm just saying that they did pull back a little bit this episode and say he's using it, but he can only use it for a few seconds. So they did have a limitation. It just didn't seem like it in that moment. But it's nice to know that he's still not able to like maintain it for a long time, and there is like something to progress with. He didn't just like master it overnight.
I mean, I don't think it was meant to look like he had mastered it, and I didn't look like he totally. Looking back on it, it doesn't really look like he mastered it too much, if he mastered it at all. Because all he really he that's not really mastering it.
Cars in the air, and gently put them back down and saved everybody without any apparent big effort on his part. That seemed pretty masterful, but now we know that he couldn't have sustained that ability for a while, so that's kind of cool. Kind of cool that there was a limit to it. You know, a big limit. You know what I mean? Like a beginner's level limit. So I was happy to see that.
Yeah, no, but I still stand by what I said. It's like even that, like I mean, I like. It's not that I hate that idea. I'm just saying that it just seems like to me, it's all like if he had sort of grappling around with it, maybe that would have been too far. All he really did was grab a couple of toy cars and place them down on the ground. He didn't really do much, in my opinion, that would have been worth.
Cars with people in them.
Yeah, well, I still think even a beginner hero could have done that. I mean, like on top of that, like from if I remember correctly, it wasn't like he jumped up in the air and they immediately came out. He had to like concentrate because he talked about how him using Black Whip, it was like how he had to use Delta Air Force. I think he's still trying to learn to control that because all he was doing is trying to learn how to use it without thinking.
Right. Well, I felt like this episode redeemed it a little bit. That it seemed a little more realistic. That he had such a short time limit on it. I felt better about his sudden improvement, knowing that he still had some work to do.
I guess all I know is like that right there is just told me that now we're going to be focusing on the next quirk that's going to pop up. However, it does pop up. Because even him just learning and training still, he's gonna have to get the other powers if he's gonna have anything, if he's gonna be able to deal with Shigaraki. But we'll get to that part of it actually later on in this review. Uh, Backing up a little bit, Ida suggests everybody show off what they're capable of after the training. The first Aizawa Kasi comes barging in saying, "Hey, everybody stop talking," but they're already on the way out, showing that there's some improvement towards how fast and how quick they are thinking about the next steps of, I guess, other career as being a hero.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of shocks Aizawa, but before we move on from there, Aizawa gets called away to the principal's office, which was kind of funny. I thought that was ironic because he kind of walked in there with his sleeping bag like he was sleeping somewhere. Right, we cut away to the girls' locker room, and to sum this all up, as Uraraka has a All Might keychain, Pinky blows it out of proportion because she thinks it has something to do with Deku, which probably it does a little bit. I mean, there's no way there has.
The way she
But
James Bond dove across the room to catch it and hide it.
I mean, I think a little bit it has a little bit to do with Deku, but I don't think it's all of Deku because I mean she's just keeping it safe because I mean I guess in a really weird way she looks up to All Might too, funnily enough, which actually we'll get to All Might too. That is actually kind of sad and funny.
She's ever mentioned looking up to All Might before and in a way that's special over anybody else.
I mean everybody looks up to All Might though, like that's just one of those things. Some heroes actually have other heroes that they admire, like Kirishima and I almost called him Red Gauntlet. I forgot his name, but Crimson Riot? Yeah, Crimson Riot. Let's see if I have it on here. Acknowledge the fast trending of the Black Lip and limited uses for right now. Poor All Might. As they're walking to the, I guess, the Gamma stage, they essentially are walking and they happen to pass All Might. And at first I thought it was really weird that he was just sitting there stirring cotton candy. But I think that's actually what he was doing there was something that's kind of common in Japan in terms of how they like to do humor. I think the same syllables were present for when he says "I am here." I am here with cotton candy, and he's just like, "What, Tosh?" I just thought it was it was funny, but I also started feeling sad because like you really see where All Might has like fallen.
Yeah,
He's just the extras. When Aizawa can't be there for his class, they call on All Might.
it's super sad, but it's funny how, as sad as it is, it's funny how there's still people that look up to him, like Endeavor. Midoriya looks up to him just as much as he ever has. Endeavor looks to him as like the standard that he has to rise to, and still goes to him for advice as kind of a respected colleague. His peers still respect him as an accomplished hero. Even, you know what I mean? Even though like someone like Eraserhead is like.
And I get what you mean. I was just saying I wasn't really saying any of this to diminish All Might because he's done a lot clearly, and they're going to respect him until he dies. When he does pass away, there's going to be a big memorial. There's going to be a big old fuss. But I just say like where he's right now, it's just sad to see that he's just he's a substitute teacher now. He's not even a teacher. like it's just sad that he's got to be subbing in for Aizawa now when that wasn't never the case before.
Yeah.
And he's just there stirring cotton candy, trying to ease the mood.
Yeah,
and it's just like
windbreak around and runs a couple laps to try to like keep his health up and stuff, like a spry 68-year-old or something, you know.
I just thought it was just really. At first I thought it was just weird, but then I started feeling sad because it just shows where he's at right now.
It's also a constant
do much.
reminder of what they have to lose. You know what I mean? Like, it screws up your body, like being a hero, and you see some old guys, like, you know, like you see Gran Torino, for example, who's like he's old and wise, and like he probably made it through everything like without too much damage. But like you see a lot of people that are just ripped up. You know what I mean? Beat up or tortured or scarred in some way, and it's a continuing theme throughout all of like My Hero Academia. Like you have you see it a lot with Endeavor, and you see like the price he's paid for his heroism, that like he's kind of sacrificed his family. You see it with Lemillion, having lost his quirk now, and you know what I mean, and kind of being like a young All Might in some ways, that he helps because he's got this hero spirit, but he doesn't have the tools that he used to have. And I know we're not quite ready to talk about it yet, but you see how Mike and Eraserhead are both kind of like sacrificed a friend too. You know what I mean? Like, some people have sacrificed their family, some have lost friends or sacrificed friends. You saw one of the students lost their brother, you know what I mean, recently, and that was the sacrifice, like death and loss of family members and trying to carry on the legacy. Like, there's a lot of pain, physical and mental and emotional and external and things like that that comes with this job. And it's sort of a solemn background tone to everything, you know? Like, you have these people that are like light points and everything, and you have people that bring you up just because they're so heroic, but I mean, we see Eraserhead cry in this episode, you know what I mean? His eyes open, just tears streaming down his face, because they're all sacrificing something. And for what it's worth, Eraserhead has scars on his face too, under his eye and everything else. Like, they're beat up, you know? And you might end up like All Might. Kind of a reminder of like where this path might end, you know? If you even if you live, you might just, you know, be good for as a substitute teacher with cotton candy at the end, as opposed to this almighty hero.
Yeah, poor All Might. But I guess since we already...
It's part of the mix. It's part of the mix of the ambiance of this anime. Like, they have lighthearted moments in the comedy, and they get serious and dramatic, but there's also this long consequence of it.
I mean, speaking of dark, we're going to start getting into the dark portion of this episode. And, spoiler warning, it doesn't get any better from here. And by that I mean it doesn't get any more lighthearted from here. If you're a fan of edgy stuff, then this is where things are getting really dark. What was that?
I got to see Froppy in the locker room.
That's pretty, or all the happiness just stops right there in the locker room.
That was all the happiness I needed. I just sailed through the rest because of that.
Okay, continuing on past all that.
And she had such a nice butt.
Moving on. But moving on, seriously, like, he brings up Eraserhead and President Mike. Any episode that has more President Mike in it, I'm happy, because, like, I feel like he doesn't get used a lot, and I feel like he's a really good hero. Basically, he's power-based alone. But, we see President Mike is with Aizawa now in the car, driving someplace, and for the first time in the entire anime, President Mike isn't wearing his trademark smile. Actually, he looks like he's trying to smile, but he's also showing he's really concerned. He looks like he is constipated from wherever they're going. But at this point, like, he kind of like, Aizawa kind of like starts noticing, like, man, you need to calm down. Trying to tell me to calm down. But like, yeah, this is like one of those parts of the show we start seeing other sides of other characters that we normally don't see. I mean, I take that back. We did see President Mike not really smile during when he claimed it was a meeting they had, when he was the one that claimed that there's a traitor amongst them. But yeah, I mean, this is the second time we haven't seen President Mike smiling, or just like grinning, you know, or being like the person that he normally is. We cut away from them driving to the prison, where we are pretty much greeted with one of the police officers that works with All Might, I believe. I think he's one of them. And apparently they are we get caught up to why they're here, and they're here because Kurogiri, we forgot all about him because he got caught in season 2, I think. We never saw him again. But they also just start describing it. They start putting things into place about, and I think this is kind of where Jock's theory that the Civil War could be a bunch of Nomus, and everything I said kind of just goes underwater, because we learned that Kurogiri is a Nomu, an intelligent Nomu. At that, one that's capable of speech, which is odd. I never even considered him being a Nomu. I don't think anybody would have considered him being a Nomu.
I was so annoyed with myself that we saw a Nomu that, like, was like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we saw a Nomu that would talk and fought with Endeavor, and like I don't know why that didn't strike, like, come to the front of my mind when it came up, because I was like, yeah, that's actually a fairly intelligent, capable Nomu, like capable of a low level, so be it, but like a decent amount of independent thought. I don't know why that didn't strike my mind when we were debating that, but it's such a clear like pretense for all of this.
There's actually a scene with the show where he's there and then Eraserhead shows up. He actually looks at him strangely, which I don't even remember that was even in the original like anime. I would have to go back and look at it just to see. But it's odd that there was a Nomu in our face the entire time, and he was intelligent enough to provide his own thought process. Well, I guess
Can
the
you
thing
talk about the fact that they can also apparently raise the dead?
I still think that he's here's okay. I have opinions about characters we don't know about. And they're presumed dead until otherwise. I don't think he's dead, because I don't think you can raise the dead unless you're All for One. And even then, I don't think All for One can just raise the dead. Something about all this strikes me oddly. I mean, he could be dead because they keep on saying he's dead.
Kind of a Frankenstein story. You know what I mean? Like where Frankenstein came up and he was kind of a monstrous version of himself. This feels like a Frankenstein, like that they cobbled something together and that was just the body that they worked with to get started.
Because I still don't. I don't know. It's like either he's not really alive and there's something else going on there, or I don't know. So I don't have proof that he's still alive, but at the same time, it's still, because even like the thing is, like, if he is just a dead body, there's no way that Aizawa could have gotten through to him, which he does here when we see Kurogiri for a split second lose himself, and we see the image of we see the head of, well, half the head of his childhood friend. And he's like staring back at him, like almost like he is fully alive, only for it to be snapped back and Kurogiri to take it back over again.
Yeah, like there was sort of like part of a soul or something going on in there that like could hang on and like interact with him.
I just don't know. For me, I don't know. I really have a hard time believing that he's dead in there. And I will not. That's not it. I have a hard time believing that they could just raise the dead like that. Cause it kind of makes you think, is like how many other people in the heroes world died and just they didn't. There was nobody out there attempting to try to bring them back to life. I understand the line of.
Is it really out of the question with all the other crazy things people can do in this universe?
Would you ask?
Is it really out of the question with all the things other things that people can do in this universe?
I mean, not really. I'm just saying. I'm trying to.
So let's.
I can't explain Kurogiri, and that's what I'm stuck on. I can't explain him, and that's kind of the weird thing.
What if we take things that already exist in this universe? What if we take the fact that they had access to some sort of processed version of Horngirl's power? Remember, and didn't they kill her and bring her back a few times?
Who?
I think they've already raised the dead. Like, I think they killed the Horngirl a few times and brought her back.
Who?
And that was part of it, that they
Horngirl? Who are you talking about?
The little girl with the horn on her head that can turn back time.
Oh, I don't. Well, I think he did say he killed her
many times and brought her back.
Well, that was him reconstructing her near death. I don't think she really died. I think he said he did it to the point where near death, and brought her and then returned her back to her original state.
It might have been, but it's also not out of the question that she could bring someone back from the dead, because she effectively kind of turns back time for them. So it's not out of the question. I'm not saying it definitely happens, but it's not out of the question that she might be able to do something like that. If she can reverse everything else, she might be able to.
I don't know. I think there has something to do with like the laws of like reality. She's capable of warping that kind of thing. Not saying she couldn't, but I'm just saying that they haven't established it.
Yeah, I understand it, but it's what I'm saying is it's not really radically different than some of the stuff we've already seen. Someone breaking someone down to nothing and recreating them, or being able to turn back time and reverse damage and stuff like that. It's just a little bit farther down the road than that. So it's not impossible that they would find a corpse and be able to. It's not proven that it's possible, but it's not outrageously impossible in this universe that they couldn't turn a corpse back if they can do all those other things.
Now I understand all that. I don't know. For me, it's like unless I see the death happen in front of me, I usually and it's just usually TV show like law. If they didn't die on camera, they didn't die. And as far as we know, he didn't die on camera. And by that I mean we didn't see an episode where where all this was happening in real time and he died. Cause like I mean it's just one of those things I don't really know. And this Nomu that Kirigiri isn't like a typical Nomu either. Cause like apparently they combined a couple of quirks together just to get him to be able to do teleportation. And
Yeah,
we still even know what Ouroboros was capable of before all this happened to him. Because he said that Kirigiri and him have a similar quirk. So it's like, what was he capable of? We never saw it. I mean, he could be dead, and they did definitely resurrected him, and that's all we can go off for right now. I just kind of find it weird to me. It's like,
it's a radical teaser though, like not knowing exactly how far this goes.
I mean, looking at him actually here, he kind of looks like a Nomu if you really look at him, stare at his face enough. Because even Bakugo brings to the fact there's a mask under all that darkness that he has there to protect him from physical attack. I thought that was just cool that he found that out, but it kind of makes you wonder, like, what else did we discover during that altercation with him that we thought was just something that they were just showing off another character's ability to think. I guess speaking of other random teasers, we found out where Eraserhead got his trademark goggles from. Ouroboros gave it to him to protect his eyes while he's like when Eraserhead's using his ability to erase quirks. But yeah, another thing too, we also see another side, like Jock brought up before. We see Azawa break down into tears for the first time. He was brought to tears here. Typically, Azawa can never be, is never that emotional, but he's emotional here to the point where he actually like covers his mouth like he's about to barf because he's sick. And then two, he ends up crying here, trying to break through to Kirigiri to figure out if it's him or not. This entire altercation was very disturbing. It was probably the darkest that My Hero has gotten up to this point. They've gotten dark at other places, but like here, it's like, geez, things have gotten really concerning. We also learned about something else about Azawa that we didn't know. And I also didn't even think the question. His whole failure, his expelliar rate. The main reason why he actually technically expels students is because he doesn't want people to end up like his friend did in that hero work that he did and get killed. But actually, it goes a step further. He asked for permission to be able to enroll students after he expels them, effectively constituting a death. Which I thought was kind of like an interesting thing. It kind of leads to the whole like like being a hero kind of leads to what Jock said. Like being a hero kind of leads to you losing things. So in a really odd and caring way, Aizawa was trying to help the students realize that being a hero isn't a game, and then gives them a second chance right afterwards.
How do you feel about the fact that here we have three heroes that stick by each other all the way through school? We have like a dark one, we have kind of a light-hearted one, and then we have like this like glue one, right? And then we have three main heroes that the series has been kind of putting together a lot lately with Bakugo, Todoroki, and Midoriya. Do you think that's an accident or a coincidence, or do you think that maybe the story is kind of building a little parallel there, like between the three of them? Because they've been kind of like really focusing on these three as pivotal. You know what I mean? That like these three are going to be the ones that kind of like are the cavalry, the reinforcements, the thing that's going to make the difference and get them through this because they don't have enough numbers. And you have you have Eraserhead, like, he was especially taking them under their wings. You know, from day one of the class, he was like the one that kind of like was in charge of bringing them through all this. You know what I mean? And here he has like a situation where if one of them goes, it's like reliving this thing that happened when he was a child. That seems to be his most painful memory.
I think it's a coincidence, but I don't think it's a coincidence with the way Aizawa treated Deku at the very beginning. Because actually, Deku and Oboro kind of look almost similar. It's actually kind of odd, not even just in look, just also in their ideology.
But
Oboro wanted to be a
think
hero more
about
than anybody, and so
think
did
about this
Deku.
angle. 3 is not just that though. Like we've seen 3 come up in other situations too. We've seen the senior class had 3 people, and now Lemillion's kind of knocked out of it. But we still have the angsty one that you could sort of draw a parallel with Eraserhead. You know what I mean? And then the bubbly one that could sort of like the bubbly female one that could sort of play the role of Mike, and then you have the glue one, like the one that's like kind of like their champ. You know what I mean? That Lemillion kind of like fell out of it, was knocked out. It's just interesting to me, and had that parental kind of like tone to him too. Lemillion has that caretaker kind of tone because you see him taken on with the girl with the horn. I'm sorry, I forget her name, but he does treat her sort of in a parental way, doesn't he? Like he's by her side all the time and kind of taking care of her and bonding with her while she recovers emotionally. You know, now that she's still mostly covered physically, like he's there helping her recover emotionally. So I don't know. There's that 3 there. There's the 3 here, and there's the 3 main heroes that have been like really highlighted in like getting to know each other's family and stuff like that, and spending time specifically with each other. It seems like too much of a pattern that they've specifically set 3 people aside 3 times now.
I mean, I see it, but at the same time, I don't believe that any one of the 3 we have right now, nothing like we're not gonna lose somebody like we've had other times. I highly doubt that because I don't see
But when you
anybody amongst the
think about
3,
how
Deku,
powerful,
Bakugo, and Todoroki. I don't see them. I don't see any one of them actually like getting either getting their quirk taken away or just one of them dying.
think
I
about
just
how powerful it would be for the storyline if Todoroki died right now, with the focus they've had in Endeavor and the focus they've had on the 3 senior teachers, like having lost somebody. It would be a really, really powerful like
I
story
just don't
moment.
see it though, because like you have to have a legitimate reason, and I mean a legitimate one, because like Todoroki is freaking powerful. Nothing could take him out easily.
But that's why it's powerful. Like All Might got taken out too, kind of. You know, like it would be
Yeah,
powerful.
like All Might had like an Achilles heel. He couldn't be in his hero state for too long. Todoroki doesn't have that Achilles heel. The only thing you could probably make a heel on him is his emotion towards his family, but you would have to know him like on a personal level to be able to draw on that.
Well, if thousands of Nomus are attacking, and he's one of the few that can stop the Nomu from regenerating with his fire quirk, and we've already seen that like there was at least one time where Endeavor hesitated for a moment, and the 3 of them had to run in and take over. Like if Todoroki was the only one that could stop something, with how humble he is and with how little he thinks of himself, he would totally make the sacrifice play to save the day. And if it was being built up as a season finale moment or something like that, or even a series finale, then it would make sense that like that would be maybe like one of the last episodes in the whole My Hero Academia. And you've said that the storyline is wrapping up, so that would be a really powerful thing to have as part of like storyline wrapping up, wouldn't it?
I mean, in the manga, I don't know how close to me. He said he's already in the final stages of the story. Like I said before,
Right.
I just don't see them killing Todoroki, and I just
I don't
don't
see
see
them
it
killing
happening.
Bakugo. They will not kill Midoriya. I
I know they
don't.
won't. I mean, well, I mean, you say that, but I mean, like usually if they kill a main character, there's another stage to like the arc for that
Right.
character. He doesn't stay dead. He comes back to life. But
I don't see them killing Midoriya. They could kill Bakugo, but I feel like Todoroki is the one that has the most story impact. I I think that Todoroki going down would like hit every single hero and make for a truly tragic storyline.
I
And
just don't see him dying making sense.
it does make sense from a writer's perspective. It makes sense that he would make the sacrifice play during the attack of. As powerful as he is, he has limitations. He doesn't succeed on everything. And we have thousands of Nomu possibly coming, or thousands of something enemy coming. And if it's a Nomu and he's one of the only ones that can destroy them, it makes absolute sense for his personality for him to step forward, make the sacrifice play, and do the noble thing, because that's what he always does. He's very noble. He's very like humble, and he's very like ready to be a real hero. And it would be, from a writing standpoint, it would be really powerful. Is it the best choice? I don't know. I'll have to see what they do. But it would be a very powerful option given how it would impact all the characters, how it would impact Eraserhead and Endeavor and all the other characters. You know what I mean? And the fact that we've been getting to everything.
I mean, I'm hearing you, but I'm still saying it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make any sense. And if they did it, I like. I mean, they Todoroki represents a character for me from another show that I really didn't. I really enjoy, and I didn't enjoy how they killed him. And I really don't want them doing that here because it would really. I honestly, and I mean, you know me. It takes a lot for me to say this, but honestly, I'd probably have a hard time watching the show at that point. Either I would either be negative to every review, or I would probably just stop watching altogether. It's one of those.
If they do it, I think it's going to be like a series finale. I think it's going to be one of the absolute last episodes ever, and then you're going to watch it because it's it's over and you want to see how people react to it.
I don't know. I just don't think a death from of a main character is the way the series is going to end. Especially considering how Deku said he's going to become the number one hero. That doesn't sound like a guy who lost something. A best friend or something like that. It doesn't sound like a guy who's lost somebody. Then again, it could be Deku in the far, far, far future after the death happened. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, they would have to really make it make sense to me. Like, they would have to do some serious build-up, show me that they're intending to kill him. Because typically, they let you know they're going to kill somebody. Even you don't pick up on it the first time. They typically let you know that someone's dying. But so far, nobody. The only person I can see dying is Endeavor at this point because of all the stuff that's happening with him right now. And to me, him dying probably make more sense to me, in my opinion. Because, like, I mean, like, with you talk about impact, I feel like Endeavor, like, dying would probably have an impact on everybody around him, even the people who didn't have a positive impact from him in the past. Maybe him dying would be the way for them to resolve their issues. They'd probably be sad if he were to pass, but at the same time, it's like, at this point, that's where Endeavor has stuck himself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There probably is another way around it, but it's like, right now, all I see, the path forward I see for him is like, an atonement would be for him to die in the middle of a fight. Maybe protecting his son, the last one that wants anything to do with him right now. But I don't know, like I said before, they would have to really build up Shoto Todoroki is dying. They would really have to do some serious, like, they would have to start building up from it now for me to even try to accept the death.
Well, I mean, it seems like from the English teacher in me, you know what I mean, the writer's perspective, the meta, seems like they're building up a path where that would make sense from a writing perspective. Am I thrilled about the idea of it happening? I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to see how they handle it. But from writing, as a writer, I could see how the things are being set up for that to be a possibility.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like I like to make comics. I understand the point. Sometimes, as a writer, you make a character specifically, sometimes you know the character is going to die when you first make the character. Other times the character, you make the character and you don't intend to kill him, but you get yourself in a situation where the character dying would make a lot of sense. Like either
Mhm.
because you made a threat that's too strong and the character you have right now is not strong enough, and if you were to somehow pull a win out of your metaphorical hat, it would make a lot of people upset. So the only other way around it is for the character to die or to get nearly killed. There's no easy way around it. But I don't know. I just like I'm legitimately you bring up points, and I agree with your point. But at the same time, I legitimately have a hard time believing that they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Like that is my legitimate standpoint. I really have a hard time. Now things in the future might change that opinion, but I find it really difficult. And none of this is based on fact. I had this feeling that they're not gonna kill him.
Maybe they'll just really hurt him or something. Maybe he'll get knocked out of commission for a long time and get. But I feel like things are very well set up right now.
I feel like a death is imminent, but I just don't think it's Todoroki.
Yeah, it wouldn't be power. This is gonna sound weird, but it wouldn't be potent enough for Bakugo because like everybody's still kind of in the process of bonding with him. It's not from a writer standpoint. It's not time to kill Bakugo. Like he has too much of a character arc to complete.
I mean,
But
technically speaking, he could have completed his character arc at some point, and we just didn't see it, and we'll see it as he's about to die. But I will agree, I don't think from an enjoyment perspective, Bakugo dying right now isn't the most enjoyable. And
right,
yeah, he still has to improve. He still needs to meet Best Genius. We need to see that play out.
mm-hmm.
They set that up.
Whereas Todoroki dying would greatly advance the plot, the character development of many other characters. It would be a big catalyst for like advancing things for a lot of the characters. And we know people do die in this. We've seen some people go, you know. So it's not impossible. We just haven't killed a student. That's like crossing a new line a lot. Killing a student, like for the censors alone, you know, a child dying is a big thing to think about. Um, I can't think of an anime where a child died, you know. So that makes me think maybe he'll just get really hurt. But
I mean,
the
I got
setup,
one, and it's the one I still hate to this very day.
which
That's where
is
that's where a lot of this is coming from. Naruto Shippuden. Technically speaking, they're teenagers when he dies, but technically speaking, it was a death of a kid.
yeah, Endeavor could die too. I just think that Todoroki's more central.
I mean, I say Endeavor dying makes sense, but at the same time, it's like he he, he still hasn't completed his transformation either. But I feel like he's
I
closer to
mean,
finishing it than
it
Baku is.
fits his like personality to like die and then shock the family and shock Todoroki and all of a sudden now we don't even have the number two hero and Hawks is not really a good number one hero and you know what I mean? Like Hawks would be kind of a crap number one hero. So I think it's actually too disruptive for Endeavor to die. I think it would take too much stability out of like the hero base. Like I think All Might had been forced into retirement by wiping himself out was the displacement we needed to make an interesting plot. I think that him going would just be too much. It would be chaos.
I mean, hypothetically, how about we go into hypothetical here? Like, I feel like even though Endeavor's death would not have a huge significance on placement on some characters, I feel like it would definitely affect Shoto heck of a lot more. And I say that because even though Shoto hates his father with all his being, he spent the most, if he's the only character besides his mother who spent the most time with Endeavor because of really stucky situations. But he's the only character who spent any time with him, and Shoto has even commented on the fact that the hero Endeavor is cool. He hates his father. That's a significant split. Um, for a character like him to take in the first place, which is kind of funny because he's kind of a split character himself with the split powers. But he makes a comment. He makes it very evident that he likes the hero Endeavor. So like in a really funny way, if Endeavor would to die, he probably wouldn't recognize his father dying, but he would recognize the hero dying, and it probably would push him forward. Even like maybe even blur the line a little bit, and him attacking out of frustration and sadness, because he'd be confused in his own mind, which in theory could make him weak enough to be killed by somebody.
Yeah.
So if they were to kill him, I feel like they would need to kill somebody first that was close to him, quote unquote, to make him weak enough to be killed. And I say weak, quote unquote, as like I mean like him mentally being unstable. I feel like that's really realistically the only way you could probably get him in a situation where he can get killed, because he need to be mentally unstable. We we
Or
we've we've seen
or
him.
he pulls a Vegeta, and like runs in and blows himself up to
I
redeem
don't.
himself.
Well, I mean, I know you don't mean really blow himself up, but I don't. I I was going to say I don't think his abilities allow him to blow himself up.
What I mean is like literally like
Yeah, I
run
know, but I'd say I don't
into
think I was going to go the literal route with that. I was like, I don't think his abilities allow him to blow himself up.
yeah.
I mean, he could like heat himself up to the point where his skin starts melting and then human combustion takes over. But I mean, I just feel like maybe they would have to make him mentally unstable for it to work. In my opinion, like that's the way if you're going to kill the student, you would have to find some way to make him mentally unstable. Because he's more stable now than he was in the past. We've seen him unstable at his worst when he was during the tournament in season 2. He's like, he said, "Oh snap! I'm sorry. I lost my thought process when he let out the ice. When he did that huge iceberg and covered half the stadium. That
Yeah.
was after him talking with his father, and he was upset. We saw he was unstable there, so we know he can be mentally unstable. So I feel like that's probably the only true way to make that work. If they were wanting to use Todoroki as a way to push the story forward, I think they would need to kill him. They need to kill his father first and then kill him.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think anyway. But
But it all feels like it makes a lot of sense to us. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is amazing that like the whole episode right now is that I think that they set up the three people and the fact that we have opened up a whole can of worms as far as like the fact that they can think like even if they can't raise the dead, they can like take something and reconstruct it and sort of like warp or reverse its mind and program it so that it has to shut down if it goes too far out of like what it's allowed to do, and basically have like not necessarily a mindless clone but a clone that I mean a mindless drone, but someone that can only do like whose actions are restricted to what they're able to do, um, and even have like personality, like the personality of what they were in life, just flipped to the dark side or the dark side emphasized, as we saw with some of the started you. So that's really powerful, and that's a way to take a recruit, that's maybe weak. We've already seen them enhance some of that performance enhancing drug thing, but now we have a whole new way that they by transforming them into a completely loyal, drone thing. So I think that's unbelievably powerful, and I think that we're going to have to see a lot more of it.
yeah, I mean, I also want to bring up something before we move on with the rest of the episode. I find it kind of funny that well, not funny. I find it interesting that like one of the main things when he introduced the Razorhead was the fact that his like eyes get really dry when he uses his power. But this man was crying while he was trying to keep Kurogiri under control, I'm guessing.
Uh-huh.
And after it's all said and done, and Razor turns his quirk off, President Mike says that, "Hey, are your eyes all right?" It's like he just says, "No, they're incredibly dry." But we see that he was crying. I just thought it was kind of funny. It poignant in a really weird way that like even though he cries, he can't moisten his eyes. And I had always assumed that because he had chronic dry eye, he couldn't cry. So if seeing him cry here was actually an interesting thing to find out, is that he can cry.
Yeah.
I had always known he couldn't because he just had dry eyes. Because your eyes don't produce the stuff needed to make eye drops. When eye drops, but like tears. So it's actually interesting to seeing that it looks like the quirk didn't in the quirk didn't impede his ability to cry. So
This
maybe
is
there's more
also
to
the
his.
first time we've seen emotion take over with him. We've seen him have attachment before, or a soft spot. But in this one, like, he took off his like equipment to like look at the guy with his real eyes, and and limit his power, because I'm sure those ability to keep his eyes open. Like, he became like very, very vulnerable around this
Well, I
around
think
this
what had
time.
happened there is that he reverted to his kid age. He reverted to his age when he was alive. Because if you actually look at him, like while his quirk was on, and we have a full frontal view, he looks younger there. It might just be the animation, but he looks younger there for really no reason other than maybe they're trying to get you, they're trying to like get a good view of him here. Because it didn't look like he had his like, I mean, he didn't have much facial hair to begin with as an adult. But I mean, from that dead point of view, I couldn't even see it. He looked like he turned 16 again, only for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, granted, we see where the goggles come from, and I think that's really where the emotion started setting foot, anyways, because he was remembering all the good times he had with them.
Yeah. So I don't know. And plus, given him that he's kind of the Batman series, cry and lose control of himself as emotionally was like a big moment.
I mean,
So what does this mean going forward? Is this just will Kokugiri, like, or Kagiri or whatever, like, will he become important in the future, or is this just all they're going to get from him for now, and that was just
I
a teaser?
think I think he was just a teaser to well, first
What's
of
coming?
all, we come from there and we see that one of the lines that One for All spouted, which again we're coming to the point that All for One's never lied to anybody. It's crazy. Um, he's only ever told the truth, and I mean, he's twisted it, but at the same time, he's only ever really told the truth for his own twisted gains, which is crazy that he's been alive this long. He hasn't, as far as we know, hasn't really told a lie yet that we know of. Because he says here, like, they ask him, "What are you doing here?" in UA. He said, like, UA just happens to have like the best produce for me to pick from. I'm just like, and that's how he even got Ouroboros in the first place. It kind of like it's kind of seen that UA is just not a safe place, and we kind of already been seeing this since season one. Like the
Right.
first season, they got attacked. It's like, and I thought maybe it was just coincidence that they're having all these attacks happen. But anywhere that UA has gone, they've just not been safe. They went to they went to camp. That was like the biggest like unsafe step they ever took. I mean, Bakugo got kidnapped, which set in the motion that they needed to have college dorms, but well, they haven't had the dorms be attacked yet, but we have to know that. I mean, granted, they said that no one knows where the location of this place is, but we still have that mole to contend with. So like, we don't know who this mole is, where this mole is, like where this mole is, what this mole is doing, if this mole is working for like the villain hero, the League of Villains, or he's just a separate agent. It's good. It's a bunch of things we don't know of yet. That is making this like, first making the dorms even less safe. Like, so far they haven't attacked because they haven't had a reason to, but because like he's actually shopping around for people to turn into nomus, it's getting kind of scary. Now we know that we have a UA student who died, quote unquote, and turned into a nomu afterwards, and was quite intelligent. He managed to keep some parts of his personality like that, like High End did. Like it's I guess it's kind of crazy to think that this is what's been happening, under their noses the entire time, and they're only catching wind of it now, 10 years later. Like, imagine how many people he could have turned into nomus in that time. Who else disappeared from UA and no one thought to search for him? I don't think Kurogiri means anything because I don't know if Shirakuma's gonna mean anything in the future, who knows? Um, the fact that it looks like Aizawa almost broke through to him tells me that he's got to still be in there somewhere. Comes to brings up the whole concept of souls. What do they mean in this universe? But to answer your question, I don't really know what Kurogiri means. I don't think he's important for anything later. But last time he disappeared, I didn't think he was important for anything, and look where he is now. So I don't even know anymore.
I thought he was like a big, big loss when they lost him. It's interesting because they did say, I don't know, they did go on and on about him when he was about how it was a rare skill that he had, and we find out from this that they were able to create like a new, hard to get quirk by combining several other quirks. Like they mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean that brings like what was Ouroboros' base quirk, and like then what did they fuse in it? Because like Kurogiri is the first Nomu that they have. They said that they very visibly said that he has one quirk, but it was only a fusion of other quirks. All the other Nomus are Nomu wild animals with multiple abilities in them.
Right. So, I mean, but the other ones are overloaded with quirks and become like more like automatron than like person at that point. But I don't know. I just think that it's kind of like wild. Do you know what I mean? Like that they can sort of, if they're clever enough, they can make a brand new quirk out of something that wasn't really.
Up to this point, I had assumed that they hadn't One for All hadn't achieved what he was trying to do, but I think Kurogiri is the proof that he had already achieved it.
Yeah. How many times he can achieve it is a question, but it's certainly on the list.
He's achieved it once. I'm pretty sure he achieved it more than once. There's no way he didn't achieve it more than once. Whoever else it is, I don't really know. Mm-hmm. Shoot. But I guess with that, we're getting close to the end of the episode here, and one little thing.
You see another big room of Nomus created.
I don't remember that, but I think you're right.
Yeah, it's not a long flash, but in my recording, it's around like 23:32 or something like that, or 34 maybe. They show a few seconds of like a bunch of Nomus being created.
Yeah, I guess before we get to that, because that's the preview. I guess we're gonna like I'm only gonna mention this, but after they found out information about Kurogiri, they call the people who Hawks works with, and those people call Hawks to tell them about the hospital, because during all that time that as I was interrogating Ouroboros, he told them who did this to you. They said the hospital, and then we cut from that to the guy who I've had a problem with since episode 1. This doctor, who, by the way, I'm going to say it now because Josh's going to say it any minute now. He looks like Dr. Eggman. Moving on. Moving on from that, I've had a problem with this man since episode 1 because his explanation for why Deku didn't have an ability makes absolutely no sense. And for me, it's even more prevalent because he's been working with All For One since day 1.
Mm-hmm.
He's either been working for or with him, and this explains how All For One was able to scout these quirks to begin with, because he's just one man. It didn't make much sense logistically how he was able to scout people for these quirks. I mean, yeah, he has a charisma, but charisma can only get you so far. I've always wondered how he was able to get around and get these abilities, because the abilities he has on him are so friggin' rare that you wouldn't just stumble upon them in UA. I mean, you could, hypothetically, but I highly doubt it. Because if All For One is as old as we think he is, then UA didn't exist when he was way 2 hours later, younger. But this doctor, I didn't trust him when I first saw him, and I'm glad I didn't. Um, but I guess going on from this doctor, we see that he's shocking somebody, and we find out that he shock treatment Shigaraki, and this is literally scary. I have I think that is like the equivalent of the death chair, but they're not trying to kill him.
They're Frankensteining him, I'm telling you.
I mean, from the episode, his first introduction, and we kind of been getting like hints that he's trying to give Shigaraki more quirks, but that is crazy. Like when he comes out of that, he's gonna be insane if he isn't already.
Yeah.
You don't get that kind of treatment and come out unscathed mentally.
No, I think that's the point of the treatment.
I'm just saying that it's just like that only looks painful. That's probably that is we hadn't seen him and we now know where he's been the entire time. He's been on the shock table. So we got confirmation about what the heck Sugar Rock's been. But I guess with that, we also got the confirmation of the next episode title, which is My Hero Vigilante. Well, my Vigilante. Wait, my. Let me get the title real quick because I'm not gonna give it to me. I completely forgot what the name of the episode was. But it's apparently the start of the arc that everybody who's read the manga is well aware of. Apparently, I don't know how important this arc is, but apparently it's very important. Um, it looks like we're going to be focusing on what the villains have been doing the entire time, which is one of them probably making all those dang nomus that Jock brought up. I'm actually waiting for the scene to pop up, and you see Gigantomachia. Uh oh, I didn't. Wow, that was they were on screen longer than I thought they were. those those nomus were on screen longer than I thought they were.
Yeah, it was a good long time.
I must have not been paying attention to them. My Villain Academia. Yeah, that's the name of the episode. Uh, Apparently we're gonna be seeing the villains learn, which I guess is actually kind of cool. You get to see them get better, to provide the other heroes a better fight. So yeah, that was a pretty good episode. We saw a lot more of Aizawa this time, which is always a welcome sight. We saw more Present Mike too, which I always welcome. Uh, we got a little slice of life out of the UA students, which is also always welcome. Uh, they kind of progressed the story a little bit more. I didn't expect Kurogiri to be important for the plot, but hey, who isn't important for the plot at this point?
Nobody.
Like I literally thought when he got captured, I was like, well, if we didn't hear from him again, he wasn't important. Like, nope. Kind of makes me now. I'm actually kind of excited about like Gentleman's like inclusion if he's gonna come back, cause his story arc didn't get concluded, and neither did Stains. And I actually been seeing stuff around that apparently Stain is coming back in the manga at some point, uh, for reasons I don't know. Because Google likes to show me things that I like decide to avoid all the dang time, and it keeps on doing it too. I have no way of stopping it.
It keeps what?
Google keeps on showing me recommendations for things, and it usually includes stuff from My Hero Academia, because it knows I'm watching it.
Spooky.
But I guess with that, I guess we don't got much more to talk about. Next week is going to be a 3-episode header. 2 episodes of Shaman King are going to be watched alongside these. I guess look out for that. Thanks everybody for watching. Whoever downloads these episodes, really greatly appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Thanks a lot.